welcome to episode 100, 120. It's 129. 129. Definitely 129.
129.
129 of the ADHD Adults podcast. I'm James Brown, the man whose impulse spending means he has every album by the band Suede in 3 or 4 formats and yet only listens to them on Spotify. That's not a plug, although obviously now we are technically in the pocket of big Spotify. And as usual, I'm joined by Dr. Alex Connor, whose hyperactivity means he sometimes struggles to chop bodies up efficiently, and Mrs. ADHD, who's possibly the most perfect specimen of hyperactivity and impulsivity in people in rabbit ears in general. Alex, hi.
Hi. Per activity, I'm impulsivity.
I'm.
Yeah. Oh God.
That didn't. Okay.
They never do deliberately. They're not written to be good. They're written to irritate me. And as you can see, Sam, where am I? I don't know. Sam, hi. No, Mrs. ADHD, hi.
Hi.
How are you? But how are you both, Mrs. ADHD first?
Well, I burnt out, but everybody knew it was coming. Everyone that watches ADHD Towers knew that it was coming, and I was racing towards it. Because I wanted to get as much as I could done before my mind and my body just completely shut down. Anyway, it happened.
Normally you just
James?
say, no.
Oh.
It's all going wrong. I had a prepared piece then, and Sam knew it because I told her. I told her about my
shit! Oh shit! Hang on, what was I supposed to do?
How are you both, Mrs. ADHD first? I can't do it now.
I'm fine.
Confined. Oh, all right. Here we go then. Are you fine, or are you just a bit fine, Sam?
Because James knows you're not fine.
No, because the reason is, Alex. So Sam and I have been having some issues. You know, we've for the last few months we've not really been a team. We've been so busy with the charity and with the podcasts and the merch and everything that we haven't even been talking. But we've made a conscious effort. We've communicated, about this, about what we want and what we need. So we've started making time and being physically intimate. And without, wishing to, if people are listening to this, without wishing if people are listening to this in the morning to make them vomit up their breakfast, we were physically intimate this morning. And afterwards, and I don't usually do this. Yes. And this is a massive self-own, by the way. But afterwards, I said to Sam, was that right? And she said, bits of it were.
It's a bit
Bits of it.
Bits of it were. He said, hopefully you enjoyed that. And I went, I enjoyed parts of it.
The curate's egg of intimacy, James.
Exactly.
Because the bed was creaking and that was taking my attention. There were lots of things happening. And in the end, I was like, should we just stop now? Because there's too much going on. I did enjoy parts of it.
I've got friends who use headphones and music during sex as a reduction of sensory stimulation.
Oh, Jesus, no. Music? No, thank you.
All right. I mean, it's not like an umpire band. You get to choose the music.
I'm moving on from that.
God, I know I have to do my thing, but fucking hell. Yeah. Sam, if you can spot that a breakdown's coming and have to get as much done as possible before it happens, it's like saying, I'm driving towards a wall in a car and it's completely avoidable, so I must speed up to hit the wall.
But I wanted to get because I've got so much to do, Al, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to do it when I hit the wall.
You're a coach.
Let's.
I know. I'm not very good at coaching myself.
Let's save this for the bit where we actually talk about reflections and stuff on the Friday episode, which we didn't do last week. Should we do that? Shall we?
Yeah.
Move this along. So we're already 3 days into this episode.
I'm excellent, thanks, James.
Perfect.
I'm actually still on holiday this week, so I've got no idea what's been going on because I've hidden, as you know, and I don't know what the figures are or anything. Sam and I did get some long and boring texts about it, but I haven't read them. If the metrics guy seemed really happy about them, which either means the listener numbers are high, or Barry from Suede has released the exact same song but with a different tambourine on it or something. That's all I know.
There has to. There has to be. It's like fucking DJ Derek Bowie. There has to
Derek
be.
Bowie,
You just carry on.
Is it because it's Barry from Suede, or that they don't use tambourines? I'm not sure which is the most annoying.
I think it's the
They
Barry.
do use tambourines actually.
Imagine fucking knowing that. Imagine knowing that. That is pathetic. One of whom sent us a letter, James. One of the listeners, not Barry from Suede, obviously. That's right, James. It's from a Robert from Kidderminster, sort of. It says, I listened to your episode on the 9 diagnostic symptoms of inattention. Did you know that James only had 4 of them because there was a reverse side to the question paper? And when they added up Sam's score, it came to 11-3. Thanks, Robert. James is a Dracula, you're right. We've, because I didn't do a Dracula thing. We've had a real letter. I mean, Robert didn't. Can I read it out, please?
Yes, and we received this via our forms. The new way to put letters in to the podcast.
Well, this isn't news round. Who are you, John Craven?
That was. I mean,
I'm
that
just
was.
informing people because
no, I know, but you did it in
the only way you can get stuff on the podcast now. If you visit the ADHDadults.uk, you'll find submission forms on there or questions.
You did it in a very fuck me. Fucks, I can't go. Just carry on. I'm just gonna fucking keep quiet for this episode.
Go on, James.
No,
go on, James.
No, there's no point. There's no point saying 4 minutes after you've said something. So just go on.
This is from Katie. It
Hi,
says,
Katie.
Improbably, I'm eternally fucking grateful for this podcast. I relate so much to all 3 of you in different ways. Properly, I would like to meet Katie. That's insane. Diagnosed at 36 in 2021, I started down the rabbit hole to consume all the information as possible, as much as probably, as fast as possible. Somehow, I found your podcast, no clue how, can't remember, likely because of the thing, but there was a stark comparison to be made between what I was first listening to and your content, which, Katie, could be taken one of 2 ways. I started off listening to other podcasts that very much glorify ADHD and parade it as a superpower. While I can surely credit my ADHD for some good things, it is most certainly not a ducking superpower. Goddamned autocorrect, no one ever means ducking. Your content empowers people with ADHD. Patient education is essential in any healthcare setting. And since most ADHD sufferers don't get that education, you're filling an important gap. Ding. Doesn't say that. I've added it. Your podcast is now an essential part of my self-care. Anywho, I really appreciate the dark humor, mid-structure, and raw honesty in your podcast. I love the psychoeducation monkey bits. Ding.
I didn't add that one. I'm going to stop you there because I actually said to Sam this morning, has Alex changed the letter because he needs a win? Because of that line.
Maybe the script guy needed a win.
Do you know what I think, Sam? I think that the script guy knows that I've been off my game a bit because I've been a bit anxious and had to take a meds holiday. And he's accidentally been nice to me and doesn't want people to know. Whoever that is. That's what I think's happened. But I do appreciate it.
Love that James was like, oh, right, they're crediting Alex. When you write the psychoeducation,
I love his bits.
They're actually complimenting you.
Yeah, but it annoys him.
At the same time.
That's totally true. I hadn't thought of that.
Sorry,
Anywho, I love the psychoeducation monkeys bits. Ding. I've read that again. It's an accident. As they're based in real research. In brackets that Alex does on his own, not just Googling blogs. Knowing that other academically inclined professionals share some of the exact same struggles is incredibly validating. Hearing Mrs. ADHD perspective, and this is where the letter falls down a bit, affirms a lot of my own experiences. As a woman navigating and advocating for health, not really. I completely feel the same way. All that to say, thank you. Your podcast has been a saving grace. You guys fucking rock. Hot turkey isn't bacon. Discord.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Katie. That was nice.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah.
Internationally, James, great question. We are, checks notes.
He's so happy that works now.
Yeah,
really. A child.
Up by exactly 1 country to 167 countries again. What are the chances? This week was not. Oh, no, you've changed it.
I know, because it was Welsh last time. You've already done Welsh and got it wrong.
You've already done it.
Yeah.
I have, but I've spent ages reminding myself how to pronounce, like, Croeso I Gymru, because I was so annoyed that I'd forgotten. Anywho, okay, I see what you've done. So apparently it's Hong Kong. So a hearty ni hao, huan yin huan lin to the listener in Hong Kong who plays our podcast through a knockoff Beats speaker on a market stand in Kowloon. It's a Beats, James. It's a real Beats.
Bastard. Anyway, as usual, this was looking for a British podcast related to ADHD, but this seems more like three failed comedians who still think they have a chance. The swearing comes across as try hard, which matches the humour of a podcast, is a tragedy in three parts. That's
to be fair, I say that about this podcast every week.
No, we don't think we have a chance, though.
No, apart from that bit. Correct.
Yeah. And Alex has never been funny, so... I don't know. That's the thing. That's why one of the reasons I love that review so much. Anyway, we choose a theme. Last week, we talked about the 9 diagnostic symptoms of inattention and ADHD. And this week, we're going to do the same by talking about giving our experiences and examples of the 9 diagnostic symptoms of hyperactivity/impulsivity. So, not as usual, the 3 parts are the 3 of us talking about these 9 symptoms, whilst obviously probably not being able to sit still and fidgeting all the way through. So, Alex, kick us off, please.
All right. Full top. In our last episode, we went into detail. Do you remember when you wrote full top instead of full stop, James?
Dictated, Alex, dictated.
And that was the script guy, not James.
Sorry, God damn it. In our last episode, we went into detail about the 9 diagnostic symptoms of inattentiveness. Inattentivity. And today we're going to do the same thing for hyperactiveness, impulsiveness-ivity. Remember, these symptoms are used as part of the diagnostic process, and currently as an adult, you have to have 5 out of the 9 symptoms of inattentiveness to be inattentive type, or of hyperactive impulsiveness to be that type. And these, I have to, the script is fast and loose, everybody should know. The script guy is an absolute twat. And these symptoms severe. Try hard, that was, wasn't it? It's being stiff. They are happening often or very often. So what are the 9 symptoms?
Oh, yes,
like last time, which was episode 127, 128 or 129. We're not sure anymore. Because somebody didn't do a Friday episode, fucked everything up. Don't know who. Like last time, let's start with the first 3 and see if we, the 3 of us, can give some examples of how these symptoms manifest themselves in our lives. Are you ready for the first one?
Yes.
Oh my word, I'm doing this as we speak. I know Sam won't have these, James, but have you got? Have you got fidgeting with or tapping hands and feet? Squirming in seat. Actually, she did this morning early, I imagine, while saying, "Oh God, this is barely tolerable." Sam, any hyperactivity, any fidgetiness at all?
Yeah, some
bits.
People that have watched the podcast will know how squirmy I am. I actually wasn't really aware of this until meetings went online during lockdown, and I was watching recordings back and thinking, what the fuck? Like, I move around a lot. I've always tried to mask this by I cross my legs over each other to keep them still, and sit on my hands normally to try and to stop it, but I tend to rock as well. I've got lots of stims that I do, especially to soothe myself when I've got to sit still. What about you, James? I think we're all a bit fidgety.
Well, I think we're all combined type ADHD, so it's a good chance.
You think we are. Sorry, you think we are.
Yeah. There's 128 recorded episodes on video of us being
or
this.
9.
Yeah,
could be 9
or 9. We're not sure. Yeah, I've always got to have something in my hands. Ding. Right now it's a plug which I'm circling around like this. I've got a ring which I didn't buy as a fiesting. I didn't buy it as a fidget ring, but it does spin around beautifully. So I sit here spinning, and sometimes it spins off. And the panic I get when it falls on the floor in a meeting, I have to stop the meeting and find the ring
Yeah.
This is like ADHD Towers, like Lord of the Rings length episodes. And then have to put the ring back, stop the meeting, find the ring, put it back on so I can carry on doing that because I can't function if I'm not fidgeting.
Yeah.
Alex? God damn. I used to say, years and years ago, if I have got it, I'm probably ADD. I'm ADD. And I've heard this so many times that people say, I'm not ADHD, I'm ADD, because they don't know what normal is. When I discovered how wildly hyperkinetic I am, it was quite the shock. I genuinely thought I was normal. I was comparing myself to my brother, Jules, who shall not be named, but will remain nameless. He's a fucking wild maniac. That's why I didn't name Jules, because I didn't think it was appropriate.
No, not to call him a wild maniac.
Yeah, exactly. But physically, we're both, really crazy hyperactive. But I didn't know, like you, Sam, exactly the same. I frequently fiddle with my ring. Unrelated to that, I'm hyperkinetic. In meetings, I would literally bite myself till I bled. Yeah. Which, James can smell that from 3 rooms across, so it's dangerous working with him.
That was a good one. I think as well, on that note as well, lots of people don't realise they're hyperactive because especially lots of people can be internally hyperactive rather than externally hyperactive, which obviously this criteria doesn't really take into account. But you might be hyperactive but just not tick any of these symptoms.
James, why is she talking about things later in the?
I don't know. Yeah, if you just stick to the specific words of this
external fidgeting.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Just stick to those specific things. Don't talk about rejection sensitivity or I don't know.
So influenza is a viral infection that some people get unrelated also to this.
Okay, anyway, so leaving seat in situations where remaining seated is expected.
Yes, please.
James.
Oh,
God. Absolutely cannot take a phone call seated. And that kind of concept of having a relaxed kind of chat on the phone, which, by the way, who phones people? It's just old people, I suppose. Yeah, I can't. And before I think we've shown this somewhere before we even knew. I think it was even before you'd got diagnosed, Al, or it might have been after, but we didn't know I had ADHD, and we were over in Lanzarote, I think it was, or somewhere, or Greece, and I was asked to do a radio interview for, I think it was BBC West Midlands. What?
Sorry, your sound went funny for a while, but I didn't know if it was just for me. Carry on.
Should we restart that and recut it in?
It was absolutely fine, James. It was her. Look, that's why she's hiding.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was good. It was boring, but it was clear.
Anyway, Sam took pictures and put them on Facebook of me walking around the flat doing this interview for BBC West Midlands, and she put ADHD much, and we had no idea. But she obviously had more knowledge than I did. But yeah, I can't sit down. And that is the situation normally where it's kind of expected you'd be seated if you work in a call centre, especially. And I cannot do it. Absolutely can't. Alex?
Always, all the time. I don't like sitting. People always say to me, "Oh, take a seat," doctors and so on, and anywhere you are, please take a seat. I can't. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I recently watched the Barbie movie without leaving halfway through. It was a woke feminist agenda, and I loved it. It was amazing. But I was heavily medicated, and it allowed me to watch it. I went dressed fully as Ken, James.
I know. Oh, I know, because you sent me a picture, Alex.
I did. Anything, even the opera, I struggle to stay sat still.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I can't. I'm so wildly, and it feels like physical pain to sit there when you're expected to stay seated. And I know what social expectations are, even though I'm not good at them. What, Brown?
What is that noise?
It's an aeroplane flying over, or a truck driving past,
or a burglar.
Start ticking, Sam. Hop, hop. I'll just hide in here. Hop.
I mean, you can read into that.
That I did that anyway.
Yeah.
What about you? What about you, Sam?
I don't think I do this. And it's not because I'm not uncomfortable. God, that noise is so loud. It's not because I'm not uncomfortable. It's because I daren't. I'm too scared to leave my seat in situations where I'm expected to stay in my seat, and it kills me. And it is a physical pain, but I don't think I do this.
Do you know what, Sam? It's so good. And I desperately want the criteria of diagnosis to change, especially for women, because of the cultural expectations on them, to include the phrase "or want to" at the expense of your mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
because I hate sitting down. I hate it, but I do it. If somebody says take a seat, that's what's expected of me. So I do it, and I sit there.
Yeah. So that's you masking, would you say?
Yeah, it is.
We forgot to do the thing we did last week, which is to score it. So just to go back to the first one, it's my fault. I should have put it in the script. So first one is very often for me. You guys, I'm guessing very often.
Very
also.
often for me.
9. Are we doing numbers? I don't know.
This one is never for me.
Leaving seat. What about or desperately wanting to, Sam? What about that?
But that's not one of them, is it?
No,
but if
it's
it was,
not. But
what would it be?
Oh, but if it was, then I've already said that.
But I think that's really important for people out there to realize that if they're not doing it because of the reasons like you, because they're culturally oppressed, then that still counts. They don't. They can still get a diagnosis of ADHD. I don't want those people to feel like they can't because they've got this. Like,
and I think it's fine
blockage.
to score it, but say I don't because it's expected of me to.
If they're gonna change the wording, I think they could also put something in about kind of wanting to physically leave a trap in a forest in Germany when staying is desired by the person that owns that forest.
I think everybody would want to leave a physical trap
probably.
in Germany.
Of course. I mean, you can. I've got loads of them. Borrow one of mine.
Okay, so the very often for me and Alex, and never for Sam, but that's because she's masking. Is that
Fairly,
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the third, and we'll round off the first part. Thank God. Is experiencing feelings of restlessness. Sam.
Yes, all the fucking time. To the point that it's really, really uncomfortable and I have to disassociate all the time. Waiting a second for anything is unbearable and I have to count really quickly under my breath just to pass the few seconds that Alex takes to fucking speak.
For the pauses.
Any little pause, or I just feel restless all the time because I need to be doing something all the time. I know I'm going on to a later one, so I'll stop myself from speaking. Alex, what about you?
But you're right. There's one about being on the go and the motor, and I don't see the difference between these two at all.
I know a lot of them. I put the same things, I think, for both because I didn't understand.
I think this one means internally, doesn't it? Restlessness. And I mean, I really do have that. I also really like rest. It's a myth that we've got more energy on average than the average population. We actually, people with ADHD adults have more fatigue than average. They're just, people see us when we're at our most externally validated. And that's often when we're very energetic or we're rewarded by the whatever. And so that's why they think we're always full of energy. When in fact, restlessness can be during a period of tiredness. I have this quite a lot. I don't want to say anything lovely about, no, I always do actually, about my lovely wife, but I feel quite safe at home most of the time. And
unlike your victims,
because I don't have to sit and watch telly like other people do. I don't have to rest in the same way that other people seem to have to, because I can't. What about you, James? Is that the same? I mean, you don't rest, do you?
No. So again, if we're using it as feelings of restlessness, that internal thing, then it's. I wouldn't say very often because this is where metacognition is an issue, isn't it? Because because
you're an idiot.
I can't sit and watch a long film, and not feel restless when I'm doing that. But I'm getting reward.
When did you last do that? When was the last one? Was it yesterday or today?
I don't know, a few days ago. Why?
Was it? What was it?
I can't remember.
Oh, Nimona.
I watched Nimona, on Netflix.
Oh, is it good? I want to watch it.
And
you watched it and you could sit through it.
Yeah, I can. That's what gives him reward.
And that's the thing. If I am doing something that gives me a reward, I'm not that restless. If I'm not, I am off the scale restless.
Is this that time where I have to remind you that you're fully medicated?
Well, fully, yeah. But I know, but even fully medicated, when I'm not doing that rewarding task, whether it is watching a film, then I am wildly restless internally.
That's what I'm saying. You watched a film on medication for this,
but I could watch. But I could watch films.
But he could
watch films without. It's always been for me a thing that gives me enough reward.
I've heard this
4-hour film.
Yeah,
we tend to fall into those two camps of people that 3 minutes in there. Up and about and watch the full thing. So for me, I would say this is often, not very often.
Yeah, me too. Then, I think as well.
Yeah, I would say very often for me.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm restless all the time.
Yeah. 10.
I've learned to mute my mic on a birth now because I've done 2 massive ones which you've missed out on. Anyway, have we done all 3 of us? I can't.
Yeah, that's the end.
Ding! Right, so that's the end of part 1. We'll take a break where I can do a loud burp with full freedom without worrying. What are you doing? You've got and the ding bell works great. I mean, now, during the end of part. Fuck me.
Does mine? Can you hear it?
No. Alex, are you on the cardioid setting or not?
Yeah.
On the back of your mic, you are.
Jesus, that was loud.
This is. I mean, listen. There's a lot of
award-winning.
There's a lot of lows in this podcast. There's a lot. You can look back over 120 something episodes, and you can say that bit was really bad. But in terms of outros, in terms of a nice segue into the break, this is quite possibly.
That. Alex, you've gone really loud.
Can we just take a break, please?
Make it end,
Please, okay. We'll be back in part 2 for the next 3 things about the thing. See you then. Bye.
Bye.
No.
Alex, hi.
Aight. What's up? Hello, Governor.
Welcome back to episode 129 or 130 of the ADHD Adults podcast, part 2. We're doing one of those special ones where we talk about the symptoms of ADHD. This is the 9 symptoms of hyperactivity and impulsivityness. We've done 1 to 3. Part 2 means 4 to 6. Shall we crack on, peeps?
Yes.
Number 4 on the diagnostic list from the DSM-5 is having difficulty engaging in quiet, leisurely activities. This is a weird one, this. Depends what it is. If it's murdering...
It's what mood I'm in.
Yeah. So go on, Sam.
I can do this sometimes. And when I can do this, when I'm in the headspace to do this, I get really annoyed by other people that are being loud and are not participating in a quiet way, even though I'm usually one of those people myself. I have no consistency in the way I act, behave, or think at all, and it fucking pisses me off. I hate it.
Yeah.
I'm not consistent with anything. Sometimes I love loud music and can dance away to it. Most of the time, I fucking hate it and hide away from it. There's nothing that's consistent. So this is, yes, sometimes I can. Most of the time, I can't.
Interesting. That would be a sometimes then.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. That's exactly how I feel. So frustrating. Genuinely, I love crosswords and I love chess and I love rewriting physics equations.
Yeah,
I think there's 2 forms of time at the moment, James. That's where I am.
This is the late. This is where you've got to. Is it? There's 2 forms of time. So one of them's related to heat. But am I right in saying you've said?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and one of them's gravitational potential energy, and one of them isn't. And then other times I can't do anything other than run, like Forrest Gump. Last night I went to, yesterday at like 8 a.m. I went to Playmobil Land with 2 ridiculous children of mine.
Oh.
And it was awesome. But like all day in Playmobil Land, running about, getting wet, messing about the whole time. Get back home.
I wanted to do a ding then.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get wet, would you?
Why not? I don't understand. Is it filthy? Is this something we can't joke about?
Just push on. It's the female equivalent of getting a lob on, Al.
Is it?
Yes.
I wouldn't know. Right. dropped
And
off
I
years
thought
ago.
it was inappropriate because you were at Playmobil.
Well, yeah, it was. It was
It is, yeah.
massively inappropriate.
That's why I pick up women.
Yeah.
No, you can't do those jokes anymore. It's not 1983.
You
I take
never
all that
could.
back. No, you never. It was always inappropriate. Anywho, hour and a half drive, 8 hours of Playmobil land, hour and a half back, wild. Had to then go and help my in-laws with computer problems, and then I'm like, I've got to run, so I just ran for 5 kilometers because I had to. I can't.
What, to catch one of your victims? I had to.
I was going to do that one earlier, but well done. No, well done for doing it.
Yeah, coincidentally 5. That's how parkrun started.
I had to run. She'd broken the lock.
I don't.
That's how parkrun started. Is a fucking brilliant joke.
It was just murdering.
Bastard.
I don't know why I've engaged with these murdering things. I don't even like it. So sometimes I don't think it's a fair question. I think this is why a lot of people don't get an ADHD diagnosis, because that one, for me, doesn't seem to understand the dopamine-led and reward-led essence of what ADHD in adults really is. James, Dracula's?
Yeah. Dracula's. So if you exclude the watching a film, which is, I would guess, a quiet leisurely activity.
That's the thing. What are quiet leisurely activities?
Well, we've just named one as I was talking, giving my experience, Sam. There's just one that I named as I was talking, giving my experience.
Yeah.
And what I would say is, apart from that one example I gave while I was talking, giving my experience, I absolutely cannot engage in any quiet leisurely activities apart from the one that I gave when I was talking, giving my experience.
Stop knitting.
I don't, and I did knit once when I was 8, and I was really fucking shit at it. Obviously, not just because I was 8, because I'm me. This is horrible for me. Masking, when Sam and I first met and would go, so Sam can sunbathe. That is a quite leisurely activity. She can do it for hours. And when we first met and would go on holiday, I would mask and do it and just have the screaming voices in my brain saying, move, do something, get up, you can't do this. And just lie there going, this is nice. I'm enjoying this. This is definitely not awful for me. But yeah, now I've unmasked in that situation. I can't, just for three minutes or less of quiet leisurely activity, and I'm out, mate, out.
So what would you both score yourself as on this one?
Very
like
often.
a 7, 8, something. Depends what it is. Which is a stupid question.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Is.
I don't know what I scored myself as. I would probably say 5 because it's just in the middle.
I mean, it would be helpful. It would be helpful if we could use the actual scoring of the ASRS, which isn't numerical. Remember, and that's never, rarely, sometimes, often, very often, because 5, 7, 8. We're confusing people, to be honest.
Sorry, in that case,
probably often.
And I'm changing mine to a 9.
I fucking knew you were going to. I knew the second I saw your stupid face that you'd thought that joke up.
It's because I'm in Germany. I meant never.
Didn't see that bit coming. Anyway, move on, Sam. Move on. Yeah.
Right. What about being on the go or acting as if driven by a motor? James.
Fucking hell. This is of the 18.
Yeah.
Of the 18 symptoms, this is the one that I hate the most, that defines my ADHD the most, that affects our relationship the most, that affects my relationship with my family the most, because I can't stop, just have to keep on doing something. And we talked about domestic anxiety and how you get to that point of the day where you should really stop and be able to engage in quiet leisurely activities, or murdering if you're Alex. And I can't. My brain is just screaming, do something, but at the same time, not allowing me to engage with tasks. And it's infuriating that I would love in the evening to play one of the mini guitars that I've got. And my brain is saying, do something. So I'm right, I'll do that thing because I enjoy it. And then I'll get within a foot of it and just my brain goes, no, you're not doing that. Do something, but not that. And then I'll think about something else. So the only thing I can do is stuff for the charity or the podcast, like making merchandise and helping the script guy or helping the metrics guy, etc. And I can't stop, and it is mentally exhausting. Sam.
Yeah, same, except I can engage with tasks 24/7. And
Yeah.
I could just work and work and work until and have been doing for quite some time. But this is my ruin, actually, because what?
No, I was about to say, but you'd say quite some time, specifically since medicated. I would say more than anything.
Yeah, much more since medicated. Yeah, yeah, actually, and yeah. Before I was medicated, it was engaging with. I was on the go all the time, but I was doing stupid things like logic puzzles, games on my, like I wasn't very. But yeah, now since I'm medicated, I can do tasks all the time, and this is how I've completely burnt myself out, because I would work really hard all day long, and then as soon as I finish work, I'm like, brilliant, now I can get stuff done for the charity and the podcast and whatever, and just work myself to death until I just stop working. And that's the reason I look so fucking awful and battered now, because I've completely burnt myself out. It's a really bad one for me. What about
you're being
you, Alex?
harsh there, Sam. I don't think that's the reason.
What?
Right?
That's not the reason.
I love it when I do jokes.
Awful. I have to explain. Yeah.
Oh,
we need a filter.
I don't have. I'll raise my hand when I do a joke. I don't have this as much as you and you too, because if you take out externally restless and fidgeting from this, so it's the internal restlessness and the fidgeting I do, but this isn't about that. This is about being on the go. And one reason is because something that you don't do, James, I'm desperately trying to get you to do, is make hobbies and fun things a checklisted task to be ticked off. And like an end, like if I had to pick up the guitar and there was no end point to it, and I didn't have to start now, and there'd be no, what am I doing? Am I playing one song or five? I don't know. How do I win guitar? I wouldn't be able to do it either. And I think that with ADHD often it's.
Yeah, I appreciate that advice, and I even will approach it with a specific task goal. I can even set the MacBook up, set the amp up, ready to just record one riff that I've written. So there is a task involved, but then can't physically pick the guitar up and then walk away from it all. I've tried using my golden hours, doing it in the morning when I can engage with tasks, can't do it. And it's just, I think maybe it's self-esteem, because it's a thing for me, and therefore that's the barrier to it. But yeah, anyway, carry on about your.
I'm the same with pole, though. I can't do pole at home.
Because you feel it's self-care and you don't deserve it.
I don't know why.
Because it's only good in bits or in parts, isn't it, Sam, doing pole at home?
Not even that. I think she's flattering you there. What I'll also say is that the medication thing's a really great point, Sam, because as we've said before, the medication doesn't change. It does change the way you think a little bit, but doesn't change your whole personality. It doesn't change or define your choices. You still have to choose stuff. People who've contacted me say, well, the medication made me go down a Wikipedia rabbit hole. It didn't. It allowed you to choose to. And it doesn't change your personal needs. So if you are working 18 hours, and even if you're being productive, you are going to burn out, even on medication, even if it's work effective things you're doing. So all the things you're doing, Sam, are needed, effective, productive. It's not healthy, and you know that. And I think, and this isn't for you; it's for everybody else worried about the medication.
Yeah.
I think it's also important to say that if you're remembering the diagnostic criteria, that the symptoms you have must be having a moderate impact on at least 2 domains of life. And we've not kind of gone into that because the script guy forgot to put it in the script. But this is a good example, actually, because being on the go or acting as if driven by a motor, you would think, well, what impact is that going to have on my life? Well, and we've talked about this in the past, actually. It has affected Sam and my relationship, because I feel like a sulky little twat as I sit downstairs while she's working till 8 at night, and I will just passive aggressively sit in silence thinking, right, I'll fucking show when she comes downstairs and sees me sat in silence. And that causes an issue in our relationship. And if you, it's one of the difficulties when you fill in the forms and you have all 18 symptoms as an adult and as a child, and you have to write down, you know, what symptoms you've had, make sure you put in the effect they have on these different areas, because it's important that you make it clear that actually, this can impact my job, this can impact my relationship, but this one is not one you think would have a big impact, but it can cause massive issues.
Yeah, it's probably the biggest thing for us.
It's so important that if you're feeling shame about your ADHD symptoms, it's okay to be aware of that and to mention it and talk about it. It's a really different. I think I still hide from some of them, and that would be
I'm getting very excited because the last of these criteria for this part is talking excessively, and I'm trying to think which one of us.
Hang on, we haven't scored.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Oh,
very often.
Me,
I said very often.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very
nicht
often.
Nicht oft.
Yeah, good one. So talking excessively, again, as I was saying, I can't really think of if one of the three of us would be a good example of somebody who talks excessively. I'm not sure, Alex, if you have got any thoughts on the matter, or Mrs. ADHD. Yeah. Should we start with you, Mrs. ADHD? And, talking excessively, it's not something I'd recognize in you, but what do you think?
No. Ironically, I think this is much less. Sorry, my brain doesn't want to work. I think I'm much better at not talking excessively now that I'm medicated. I think I was.
You should try it then.
Before I was medicated. Yes, I talk excessively.
Yeah. And just to clarify that Sessions has made several monologuing mixes based on since you've been medicated, based on the fact that once you start, you don't generally stop, do you?
No, and I tend to repeat myself a lot. I've realised now that I'm recording myself for ADHD Towers. I'm like, oh God, I've literally said the same thing in a different way within the same sentence. I just repeat myself constantly. I do it in emails too, I've noticed. Anyway, what about you, James?
Remember the working memory thing. It's hard to. We literally can't remember. We shouldn't feel guilt or shame over that.
And once something's in my head, I have to keep digging at it just to make sure everybody knows.
You do speak in a really unique. I hate to say, I really like the way you write as well. Sam, you write in this really strange, unique stream of consciousness way that works.
I'm trying to stop that.
No, don't. It's an actual voice. It's a voice that's unusual, and I love the way you write. It's great. And you talk in that way as well. I've accidentally complimented you. Oh, I feel sick. Whoa. This is worse than when you two had sex.
Well, I'm trying to stop it.
Both of them.
Yeah, this morning she has successfully stopped it for the next 3 months. I don't think, and I will take both of your opinions on this. I don't think I talk excessively. I actually think the opposite. I think I tend to stay quiet as much as I can, partly because of just kind of low self-esteem, imposter syndrome, partly because I don't think my opinion's important. And doesn't mean I can't talk, obviously, but I think I go the other way. And,
I think you're probably right.
And avoid talking excessively.
I think with Sam and me, you unmask and you're the real you, and you sometimes tell quite long, good things, but you talk to us quite a lot, but not in the outside in the world. I think This is where there is obviously there are so many conditions, disorders, things that have a crossover with ADHD. When I am hypomanic, I do not shut up. Yeah. And
that's
true. Even, and this is odd for me, seek out people to communicate with. Like I do the scroll down one page of WhatsApp to find messages I didn't respond to. And I think when I'm not hypomanic, I would say it's rare. So this for me is
unless you're excited or something exciting's happened.
Yeah, I still say it's
or
rare.
Angry.
So emotions. Alex, what about you?
This is one of the ones I feel most shame about. That it physically hurts just to talk about it. Good. Yeah.
Well, don't then.
Have you tried shutting the fuck up? Right. I think lots of us feel like this. When we first started the podcast, James, you would share. I remember talking for 1 minute of the 30. And then when it was played back, it turns out I hadn't spoken for only 1 minute. I felt that I had, but I'd spoken for maybe 17 of the minutes. I couldn't believe that my lack of self-awareness was so strong that I didn't know how much I speak. And it's embarrassing. Really embarrassing.
I've actually, there's been times before when you've said, well, let me do this. It's the only bit I do. And I think you literally, the whole podcast is just you talking.
Oh, God. I think it's all, James and you.
That's unfair because 75% of it is now you talking. Sam, to be fair, isn't
I say
it?
talking.
Two questions and then 15 minutes.
Structured part. The whole structured part is just Alex doing his psychoeducation. And then he was like, well, let me just say my personal reflections because I haven't said anything this.
It's honestly, I
and
loathe
it's self-awareness,
myself.
isn't it? No, I do as well because we both do it.
Oh, I wish we had time for the game, but we don't.
We have score, Al. How do you score? You're talking excessively then. And do you please use a scale, not a number? Play the game, for God's sake. Not well, we're going to play the game, but how would you score it?
I think very non-infrequently often.
Yes, okay, so very often.
Very often for me, very often.
Now, we haven't got much time, but we have got time for the game. And luckily for you, Alex, I scribbled the game down on a piece of paper this morning in a way in which I can't really remember what each phrase means. Now, I know what the answer is, but here's what I'm going to give you. So the game is T-shirt.
Yeah.
Okay. And remember, the name of the game is What's James Lost, Forgotten, or Mislaid. So it must have been something to do with that. So the game is T-shirt, and your options are on. That's A. B is home.
Yeah.
And C is on top of same color. And that's all I've got.
Yeah. I mean, this one's a real beat. So it's hard to know which to choose. I think that it's not on because you only wrote that because it's one of the words you can spell. I don't think it's home because you haven't been invited, so you're not allowed in because you're a Dracula. So I think it's on top of same color, and I think you put two different pictures on, like you printed a picture onto one that was already like a green picture onto a green T-shirt, some shit like that.
I think your logic is sound. I liked the home. I thought you were going to go with you haven't been back to Transylvania in 200 years. But the answer is on, Alex. The answer is on. I was looking for a T-shirt to wear at a little talk.
You were wearing
the T-shirt as I was looking around, going in this tiny little room in a murder hostel that I booked, which is like 6 foot by 8 foot. And I'm going, where? Hang on, where is it? I mean, I can't lose a T-shirt in this room. I was wearing it because obviously I can't see mirrors.
You can see mirrors, can you?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a Dracula. Can Dracula see mirrors? Are they aware?
You can see mirrors, and I could have seen the T-shirt had I looked in the mirror, but it would have had no head and arms, obviously. But I didn't look.
Was it Barry from Suede on the T-shirt?
Fuck off.
I don't know. Would you have seen the T-shirt? Is it invisible with you?
No, you can see.
I think your clothes are invisible with you.
No, you look like the Invisible Man, do you?
There is one Dracula in this conversation. Can we respect his knowledge of being a Dracula, please? His lived experience. On that note, I think that's 15 all out. I've lost count, but I think somebody said you were winning or something, and somebody also said when you tried to claim last week when we didn't do the game that was a win for you, that's incorrect, and they're fucking right. We'll take a break, and we'll be back in part 3 for the last 3 symptoms.
It's a win for everyone.
Welcome back to episode 129 of the ADHD Adults podcast, where we are talking about hyperactivity and impulsivity in detail. Alex.
You were so close. You were so close, weren't you? It's not 130.
I was, and then I lost it. It's not. It's 129.
Yeah, it is 129.
Alex?
Yes, Sam.
Yeah, Alex.
Next one. Okay, the next one is blurting out answers. How do you do that, Alex? Oh,
You've
I've
literally
just done
it, haven't you? You've literally just... Oh, that is fantastic. What a cell phone.
I was trying to shame you by saying that you do it.
Whilst reading out one in my colour off the script.
I've got to time score that because that's got to be a promo. That's amazing.
Oh, I'm tasting the glory. Nom nom nom. It's delicious. Oh, nom 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 nom.
These last 3 are the same thing to me. These last 3 are all the same.
Yeah,
they're related. They're about impulsivity. Yeah,
blurting out answers. The urge to is ridiculously strong. It's like it's actually how you often describe tics, Sam, for me, like a physical building up, and I can't, and I always put it down to being a pathetic child who needed constant external validation. So I'm clever, like at quizzes and things, if I know the answer. But I just think it's an impulse because I don't care. I just do. I don't get to control that.
And I was never that. I've never needed anything because I don't think I'm worth anything.
No.
But I still can't stop myself from blurting out. It's excitement. It's an excitement that builds in me because I've got something to say, or I know this, or even if I don't and it's wrong, I cannot stop myself. And the leaving the seat thing, I can stop myself doing that. Blurting out answers, it's much more difficult for me to stop. And I am a nightmare if I'm playing a game.
I don't think James does it as much. What do you want to, James? Do you tell us?
No, I do. I have been in kind of pub quizzes, in social events, like at university where there would be quiz-related stuff, and I will shout over people the wrong answer. Obviously, sometimes I'm so excited. I can't absolutely can't. I can't. And this is so to explain to people the neurophysiology. We've talked about cognitive inhibition. And this is one of the core elements of ADHD. And the inhibition is very much tied into hyperactivity and impulsivity because not being able to inhibit or stop movements is hyperactivity. Not being able to inhibit or stop thoughts, saying stuff or doing stuff is kind of hyperactivity and impulsivity. And I do not have that ability. And you can test this in a lab in something called the start-stop test. I do not have the ability once I have that. I think quite quickly, but I then can't stop thinking quickly and stop my mouth from saying the things I'm thinking, particularly when it comes to answering something. So straight away out there, whether it's right or wrong. And the shame.
They say that, don't they? It's like the way we make decisions, isn't it? We make decisions quickly, but not accurately. And that isn't a superpower.
Oh, I don't think I make decisions quickly.
No, you don't make decisions, do you? So for me, scoring it, which obviously none of you do until I remind you, I would say this is a very often.
Very often for me too. And something I do all the time as well is I blurt out answers when I think I know what the question is. And often they're only one word in to, and I'm like, and I can't then stop because I've assumed that they're going to say something.
And I've said to people, I know what you're going to say, and got it wrong.
But that's what this is. It's not just blurting out questions when a question has been finished. And I do this with you as well, Sam. As you'll be telling me one of your fucking boring stories, and I'll start kind of saying things which I know you're going to say, or people, and and they said this, and because I can't stop myself from doing it, and again, that can have an impact on a relationship.
This is horrible. This is shameful, isn't it? It feels awful.
I know. And this is when we're medicated. This is when we are fully medicated and titrated.
The next two are shameful, segueing into the last two, because remember, these are the two which I put not applicable down for on my form because I couldn't be asked to fill the whole form in. So the next two are interesting because I've never filled in a form actually talking about them. So Sam,
do I get to do the next one because Sam's already done one?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Blurting out answers for me is very often.
Yeah. I reckon I'm a 5 on that one, but out of 6, James, if that helps. Okay. So the 8th and penultimate one is having difficulty waiting for your turn. Hard on none of us can relate to this.
I think me and you are worse for this, Al, than James, I think. Oh, actually,
I wouldn't know because I've never tried.
Yeah, I really struggle with this. This is very often for me. I'm not very good at waiting my turn at all. I hate it. I hate waiting for anything. And I just want it to be my turn all the time. What about you, James?
Yeah.
So, having not really considered this before, because I put not applicable, again, I think it's a poorly phrased question.
Yes, so
because if you ask this question in Britain, famously and stereotypically where we are happy to queue and wait our turn, culturally, we are programmed to wait our turn. And therefore, I am more than happy. In fact, I get irritated at people that queue push or in a car that drive past the long queue and cut in because I think, no, wait your turn. So actually, I would probably say that this is, not often because I'm, if you're like socially programmed to wait my turn. Sometimes, and we talked about this in escape games, when somebody's doing something else and they're not doing it right in my mind.
Or quickly enough.
or quickly enough, then I will just grab it off them and fix the thing. But for me, if you go back to blurting out answers, I think if that could be changed as well, because I'm not sure if the thing that I do in an escape game where I'll take over somebody's activity and finish this for them, I'm not sure if that sits into waiting your turn or is more linked to if you combine blurting out answers with impulsively doing things, that you maybe aren't yours to do, because I feel they're kind of similar. So for me, it's probably I don't know, not often. I've got no fucking clue, to be honest. Not often.
Or what about all wanting to?
No, I don't think. I think I'm fine. I'm fine with queuing and waiting my turn. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not.
Simply, I've never tried.
that is true. Actually, I think that is true of you.
I have a quick. Can I just? I shouldn't. I know we're already over time, but I in Germany, there's some people don't queue. Most people do queue in Germany. It's a myth that they don't. What is weird though is that people, it's usually men, businessmen, don't, and then people don't say anything. That's what's weird. And this is my ADHD kicking in. I said to Lisa, I don't understand the social rules. I don't understand any social rules really, but that one particularly, because if they push in because they see the opportunity, and how is that different from me then pushing in front of them and turning round nose to nose, but not literally touching them and maintaining eye contact? Because I cannot see the diff. I know, but I'm a psychopath.
Eye contact.
And she's had to explain to me that those two things aren't the same, and I still don't understand the answer.
I'm sorry, I started sweating profusely at eye contact and couldn't hear anything that you were saying. It was just a cloud.
If there are no social rules, I would have all the I would do everything.
I think the social rule is that in that case, you can swing your leg and kick in the bollocks as hard as you can the businessman that stepped in front of you in the queue because they saw a gap. That should be socially acceptable.
I can understand that I don't touch them because they didn't touch me. Ding.
Yeah.
But standing 1 centimeter nose to nose for me is the same, and I don't see the difference. I cannot see the difference.
I have got difficulty waiting my turn, obviously, like now. But you just reminded me of I think it was my 30th birthday. With like a group of us had gone away to Barcelona, and we were all about to miss the flight. And my friend Lisa, who has no problem cutting in front of everybody and like no shame at all, just went, "Come on, you've got to cut in front of all these people, or we're going to miss the flight." And me and Skeletor and Agrifoot, we've just stood in the queue and we're like, we can't. We absolutely can't.
You absolutely can.
I'd rather miss the flight than break this social rule. But yet I will interrupt. Oh no, that's the next one, isn't it?
So fucking Hugh Grant.
And again, this is another criticism of the questions, because so many of us have autistic traits or potentially have an autistic spectrum condition. Again, the rules of society, which we might not understand, or we might not want, as Sam wouldn't want to break that rule, means that this could be something that absolutely could stop you from getting an ADHD diagnosis, because you're saying, no, I don't do that. Of course I don't do that.
Yeah, not allowed.
Yeah. And that's why it's useful thinking of other ways, because since we started this podcast, I realized that I do have difficulty waiting my turn to speak a lot. But maybe if I hadn't thought of that aspect of waiting my turn, I would have thought of, well, yes, I wait my turn in certain ways. So it's thinking of all the different ways, isn't it? Because you're right. I don't want to break social rules because I don't want to draw attention to the fact that I don't understand them. I don't want to draw attention to that. So I'm like, yes, I completely understand why we do this.
It's the only thing you don't want to draw attention to, apparently.
Right. But James, that would be very often for me, I think.
So very often for you. Often, maybe Alex, often. Very often, I think would be fair.
One out of 1.3 though. So
Jesus Christ. I mean, I honestly think with every episode that my utter visceral loathing of you could not increase. I think I've reached, it's like that theory of the universe, what's outside, the edge of the universe, the way in which we don't get into physics, I got so excited. No, don't get into physics. But I feel like it's infinite, my loathing for you. And clearly, but I also clearly think there's a boundary past which it can't go. But every week you manage to irritate me more, and that loathing grows. It's wonderful. So the final symptom of hyperactivity/impulsivity.
Yes.
Oh, I hate this one. Is interrupting or intruding on others. Alex?
No, I don't do it. I do it. Or want to. Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awful. Sam?
Now, I remember that I think I put rarely or something for this on my form because I genuinely didn't think I did. I thought, I don't ever do that. I would never interrupt others. I do it all the time. I just wasn't self-aware. But
Not
yeah,
on this podcast. Are you restraining yourself or what?
But it's not, again, it's not self-awareness. It's poor metacognition because,
it is.
You know, people have told you that you interrupt or, you know, or intrude.
I know. And I think I have got better at it since I got lots of criticism for it when I first joined. I don't know.
Can I read out a text, Sam, I sent to James this morning? It says, James, one, I'm so happy with this because I've referred to the Suede guy as Barry. And B, what are the chances of Sam letting me get through this joke without ruining it? And his reply, Sam, it's okay. She'll be distracted.
Yeah, it's fair, isn't it?
Yes, very often for me. How about you, one of you?
Yeah, me. So, considering again, this was not applicable for me. Fucking hell! This is one of the ones that caused and still causes me the most shame and guilt and self-loathing. When I was an academic and didn't work from home, I'm not sure what you're showing to the screen there, Alex, but it didn't really work. When I was an academic and was working in a building and there were people there, and obviously people have to talk to people, I was so lacking in control of my ability to not interrupt a conversation or intrude on a meeting that I would walk up to two people having a conversation with no idea whether it's an intimate, personal, important conversation, because I needed to just say something to one of them, stand less than a foot away from the two of them, wait about 5 seconds for a natural break in the conversation, and then when it didn't arrive, say, "Have you got that report for me?" Staring at one of them, and the looks of horror you would get from both people, and then the self-loathing and the okay, thank you, and then walking away thinking, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with me? I could email that person. I could have stood a distance away and wait. Well, I couldn't, and waited for them to finish speaking. So, like, if there's more than very often, I would be more than very often on this.
Oh God!
And it's normally because something's distracted me that I end up interrupting or intruding on others. I was just thinking at work the other day, we were talking about something really serious, and I went, "Oh my God, have they changed the signs out there?" And everybody was like, "What?" And something.
I love that you're explaining this to a listenership of many, many people who know.
I know. I do it all the time.
The thing I was holding up is my book of interruptions. Sorry, I don't know why it's not working. I think my green.
It's because you green screen. It's a vampire. I don't know.
Should have worked. Anyway, there's loads and loads of writing.
Yeah, keep doing it. We can't see it.
Yeah.
Most of my interruptions are bullshit that I wish I wouldn't interrupt with. So I write them down, and then afterwards I see, are they worth? For example, this list says Lover 99, shit himself, holiday not drinking. Yes, very, very good. And I've no idea what any of them were, but they were a really important interruption at the time. I chose not to say.
Oh, see, mine are all good.
Yeah,
mine are hyperactivity, internal. We are medicated, and all three the same.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
Good. That was episode 129 of the ADHD Adults podcast, where we talked in detail about hyperactivity and impulsivity. And I'm sure you'll agree, in parts, it was enjoyable. If by a miracle you enjoyed this episode, someone's changed this, I'm guessing Sam, why not support the ADHD Adults UK charity that the podcast raises money for, or support the podcast itself by subscribing to our extra content on Patreon or Spotify. Contact us by using the forms now on the podcast website, which is the ADHDadults.uk. My laptop is just about to run out of power. Bye.
Bye.
Bye all.
Trigger warning, klaxon, 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 big klaxon.